But no, Judd really does. He always gives me credit, and I give Judd credit also because sitting on the sidelines, we've got the best seat in the house, and very rarely are we actually talking about kicking or punting or, punt team in the red area. We would do that or whatever. But if I had a punt that wasn't so good, um, he would say, "Hey, listen, you did this. You took a little jab step." We were so good with one another that I could tell by the sound of the ball in practice if Judd was hitting it right or if he was hitting it wrong. And I say, "Hey, your plant foot's a little bit close to the ball right now. That's why you're pulling it," or whatever the case is. But we were so good together, and that's why it worked.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by our good friends at Titan MRI and Imaging and brought to you by our good friends at Meldon Law. From the Meldon Law Studios, I actually ran into Jeffrey Meldon. He was at the quarterback club to see Katie Turner on Tuesday night. Had a great time with everybody there. It was a packed house. They had to bring out extra tables. I can't imagine what it's going to be like next week when Alex Brown's here. All right, so today we are going to have Shane Edge on the show, the great Gator punter. I know I advertise it as Brandon Marcello from CBS Sports, but he had another engagement that he'd forgotten about. It happens. We all know that, and it's cool. We'll get him on later in the year. And I reached out to Shane, and I haven't had him on in a while, and I wanted to talk to him about the start of the season and some other stuff as well. We'll play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with him. Of course, Coach Spurrier will be on Monday. I believe. I got to check with him on that since it's Labor Day. We are going to definitely do a show, but I may just do it from home. Depends on whether he's coming in or not. And then Patrick Young the following Thursday. So that'll be great. And we'll have fun talking to Patrick as well, and look forward to talking to Shane. That's always an adventure in itself. All right, let's get to our Royal Blues starting five, brought to you by Royal Blue Yacht Sales. Of course, our good friends at Royal Blue, Randy Royal, they do a great job over there. Let's get to our starting five. And by the way, I got the background from from press conferences that Florida has. And so I'm advertising for UF Health and Florida Farm Bureau and everything. But I'm not doing that part on purpose. I will if you guys want to advertise. It's great. But I feel like, because I was thinking about how I'm semi-retired and I'm still semi-media. Like I still do some media type things, But anyway, I wanted to feel like I was part of the media today because it's football season and it's getting ready to start. I heard this great commercial today on it was on the ESPN, yes, on one of those shows this morning, and it said they'd advertised it for college football, and it said hand in the keys to your life. It belongs to college football now. I couldn't read that there for a second. Hand over the keys to your life. It belongs to college football now. And they're talking right to my heart, and that is the way I feel. Now, I know that not everybody feels that way. I have friends who are in the media who've told me before, I don't watch other games. I watch the game I'm covering. And I'm like, hey, I don't know that that's professional, because to me, you need to know about other teams. Well, you can look at research and look at tape, I guess, but I care about college football way too much. I agree. There's like a spectrum, and I'm way over here, and then somebody who thinks football is too violent is way over here, and I'm on the 98 percentile. I just love it, and it's ready to happen, and it's ready for all of us to be happy. Talking season actually ends tonight, Thursday. To me, 5:30 actually is the first game. By the time most of you listen to this or watch it, that game will have been played, but the point is, it is a great time to be alive, because this is going to be a fun college football season. We hope it's fun for the Gators. It feels like it is, but I've reminded people that Florida is not the only team that has a lot of people back. Florida is not the only team that has a quarterback who could be a high draft pick eventually. Florida is not the only team that feels like its depth is really good. Florida's not the only team that is recruited well. Florida's not the only team that's hit the portal. The bottom line is there are a lot of good teams out there. Do I think Florida is one of the 8 teams, like some people say, that can win the national championship? No. Do I think they're one of 15? Maybe, yeah. I mean, if you want to go that far, and I believe you're going to be able to go that far. I've said this all summer. God, I can't believe it's finally almost over. All summer that we are, I think the SEC is wide open. I mean, I don't think Mississippi State's winning it, but other than that, I think it's wide open. Um, I'm just ready for it. More than anything, it'll be it's time to spot the ball. That's the main thing, guys. It's just time to see what this team has. Now, we're not going to find a lot out for the Long Island game. In fact, I had my lucky T-shirt on to do the show from the basketball, which I wore for every basketball game. But then I said, I'm not wasting it on Long Island. I've told the story about how hard it was to get information from them. Anyway, so it is. By the way, this was a story I missed, and I apologize because sometimes I do miss stories. But Billy Napier not releasing a depth chart and is not going to do that. He's got to release injury reports when they get to SEC games, but not releasing depth charts, doesn't want to give the opponent information on them. And I'm like, boy, the paranoia of these coaches. Now, he even said, it's not about you guys in the media, but if we put it out there, anybody can see it. And I'm like, well, they can watch the tape and see it. I don't know how it's going to affect the Long Island game, but at the same time, these coaching is the coaches are more paranoid than like spies or rock stars on coke. They're the most paranoid people in the world, and they believe everybody is spying on them. And then you get a thing like Connor Stallions, and now everybody goes, I told you that was going on. And everybody thinks now there's Connor Stallions all over the place, and that's why practices are closed. And I just read the story about Deshaun Foster out at UCLA. Now is not making players available. He says, I don't want you guys talking to my players. And I don't even think he's talked to him. I think that's in his contract somewhere that he's got to do. I would think so. I mean, I know it's in Billy's contract, Billy Napier. But anyway, it's just it's a weird time. But the good thing is we don't have to talk about any more of that stuff. All we need to talk about is football. Florida football. If you're just a Florida football fan, that's great. I'll talk a lot of Florida football during the weeks of this show coming up. And but if you love all football, I'm going to talk a lot of that too. I'm just going to talk a lot is basically what I'm saying. I'm so excited. I'm beside myself. I am like a kid on Christmas morning. And actually that week 0 games were basically like Thanksgiving. We just eat and that's it. This is Christmas, man. You come down and you get to see presents. Now, some of the presents are not what you wanted. Some of them are the footy pajamas, from grandma. That's just the way it works. But not every game is going to be great, but hopefully they will be. Anyway, that's my take. And again, I wanted to say congrats. I thought about getting Ahmad on today. Ahmad Black is Mr. Two Bits. Congrats to him. He'll be very excited about it. I know that. But look forward to seeing him. In fact, I'm going to check and see if he's in town Friday. Maybe we'll get him on the tailgate. Look forward to that. All right, that is our number 1 on Royal Blue. Number 2 is I hadn't really thought about this, because you kind of get lost in what you're paying attention to. But what a Saturday or weekend it is for the state of Florida. When you think about it, Florida is hosting a game. Okay, that I'm not putting that at the top of the list, but they're hosting a game. FSU is hosting Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Alabama. Miami is hosting Notre Dame. USF is hosting. Why am I blanking out on who USF is hosting? they're hosting Boise State. Golly, I blanked out on it. And Boise State is for what you want to say about them, and they're a playoff team, and they're a team a lot of people are picking to get in the playoffs again because of the whole group of 5 thing. But anyway, that's a big game. People are going to be paying attention, and that's tonight or to this afternoon. I'm excited about it. I know that. It is really a cool time. Unfortunately, you do get some injury news. There's a bunch of it running around. The big story about Tim Keenum from Alabama, their big nose tackle, who's a force. He's going to be out for a little while, and he's going to have that tightrope surgery where they repair your ankle injury. Remember, 2, I think, had it, and a couple other players had it. Anyway, so look, I'm nervous about that game for my Crimson Tide. I always say that because they're playing FSU, but yeah, that'll be an interesting game. That game is the importance and I'm curious. I did not look at the spread. I know it was 13, Alabama by 13, and I don't know if it came down drastically or not. I should have looked at it, but I'm gonna look at it before the tailgate. But so yeah, they're still going to be a pretty big underdog in that game, but we'll see what happens there. All right, number 3 on our Royal Blue, starting 5. Speaking of Florida State, interesting on the conference call, SEC conference call on Wednesday, Billy Napier was asked about the possibility that with 9-game schedule, would FSU game be in jeopardy? And we asked the same question. Would you rather play Florida State or Miami, or would you rather swip them out every year? I said that. I said that would not be a bad idea, that you would just alternate. You play FSU one year, Miami the next. FSU one year, that would not be a bad idea. We got a lot of callers who said, I don't want to play Miami ever, and I totally get that. But the question was whether FSU would remain a permanent opponent. And Billy Napier said, yeah, they will be, absolutely, as long as I'm here. This is it's too big a game. It's got great tradition and everything. And I think it will hamstring Florida in a little bit, not in terms of, look, you got to play 9 SEC games. You don't know how good FSU is going to get, or who knows if Norvell's going to survive. He goes 2-10 again this year. He probably won't. But then are you going to still bring in Notre Dame? Are you going to play that Notre Dame game? They're going to have to do some in Colorado, and there's some other teams they've already scheduled that you did because you want them to come in here. Now, I think that because the schedule has, a huge impact now on college football, that's what the strength of schedule, I meant to say. And that's the reason the SEC went to the 9 games. They went to it just like that after we talked about it last week. Maybe they heard the show. No. But anyway, you could play 11 of your 12 games against Power 5 teams. And I think a lot of teams may and say, hey, we want this. We want to have the toughest schedule, and we can go. And I saw a graphic that somebody did, and I can't remember the name. I should have written it down, and it was about teams that can only win 8 games and still get into the playoffs. And they had 4 teams, and they were all from the SEC. Now that tells you strength of schedule and all that stuff. And and then I started thinking about it. I still don't think an 8-4 team's going to get in. But all 4 teams, I think it was Vandy, Arkansas, Mississippi State, I think, and Florida. And I'm like, yeah, well, if Florida goes 8-4, they're gonna beat some really good teams, but they're also gonna have 4 losses. So I just don't think that's gonna happen. But we'll see what happens as we go forward. So anyway, FSU is going to be on the schedule as long as Napier's here, as long as Scott Strickland's here, which I'm sure they're on lockstep on that. However, we have no idea what the future holds on that series. I will say that. I do think that it is not a slam dunk that Florida and FSU will be playing in the year 25. That was a Zager and Evans song. In the year 2525. No singing aloud, Pat. All right, let's get to number 4 on our Royal Blue starting 5, brought to you by Royal Blue Yacht Sales. Appreciate Randy over there. Here's the thing I wanted to say about Arch Manning, okay? And I hope everybody at Texas will take this the right way. I am so sick of hearing about Arch Manning, and it's nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with him doing it. It's lazy, in my opinion, that everybody is just jumping all over this story. And everybody's also waiting to be able to destroy him if Ohio State gets on him and harasses him and picks him off a couple of times and everything. I've seen it happen with a lot of people. Jimmer Fredette being a guy that comes to mind, where everybody was making him into this mythical figure, and then he crashed and burned against Florida, and everybody just started ripping him. But people love to do that. They love to build somebody up, and look, I believe in his DNA. I believe in his pedigree, and I believe in having those voices in his head versus having quarterback coaches and fourth uncles. Although his fourth uncles probably played quarterback somewhere. My point is, I'm picking Texas to win that game, and the reason I'm picking him is I think he's going to do really well, and I think Sarkisian will. I mean, I know he called a bad play last year when they played Ohio State, but in the playoffs, but I think he'll do a good job calling plays. Anyway, I'm tired of him, but it's not his fault, is what I'm trying to say. I'm tired of a lot of things. I'm tired of a lot of summer talk. I am ready for football. All right, let's get to number 5 on our Royal Blue starting 5. I wanted to point this out, and it is brought to you by Christine and Steve Wendig, Boss Art Realtors, who do our Olympic Athlete of the Week on Mondays. But they are big supporters of women's athletics, and I wanted to make sure everybody knew that Sunday Florida plays its volleyball home opener. Of course, they're coming off the big win against Pitt, and then they beat the Czechoslovakian team 3-0, which you can't publicize it, I guess, because it's an exhibition. I think the MVP of that match, game, whatever it was Jeff Cardozo, because he had to pronounce all the names of the Czechoslovakian players, so that was pretty good. Anyway, Florida opens at home against Norfolk State. It's 1:00, and then they have to play 3 straight road games. So this is the first real chance to see them, and then they're going to be gone for a while. So that game, if you do want to watch it, is also on ESPN+. All right, that is our Royal Blue starting 5. Let's take a break and bring on the great punter. We'll bring on Shane Edge here on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Hey, let's talk about something that's been a real game changer for many people, including me. BMI TeleMed is one of our sponsors. They're the weight loss specialists and can help you tackle that stubborn belly fat. You know, the kind that usually creeps up once you hit your 40s. Bob Parado and Charlie Gonzalez, 2 UF-trained pharmacists, work with their medical director to prescribe and deliver the same meds that helped me lose 50 pounds. Yep, 50 pounds. That belly fat, it's not just about looks. It's unhealthy and makes you feel sluggish. So now's the time to do something about it before spring and summer roll around. If you're anywhere in Florida, BMI TeleMed, simple online telehealth platform makes it easy. Your weight loss meds get delivered right to your door fast. From my experience, you feel full sooner, eat less, but can keep enjoying the foods that you love, just in smaller portions. Plus, it helps with blood sugar and cravings. Do yourself a favor, head to bmitelemed.com to set up a free private consultation. No obligations, no contracts. These Gators know their stuff. You'll look better, feel better, and be healthier. Visit bmitelemed.com today.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
At Royal Blue, we use such tools as AI, bulk email marketing, trade shows, Google search advertising, and multiple websites. We take a much more proactive approach to getting your boat sold in a timely manner. With our extensive client list and broker-dealer network, we can track down vessels that might be perfect for you and your family, that may not even be listed for sale yet, giving you the right of first refusal. We have spent the last 15 years in boat sales, observing and listening to our clients. In response to our findings, we have constructed a custom yacht brokerage that strives to fit their needs and not ours. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grille. Ballyhoo Grille prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grille on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It is great to bring on one of the all-time greats at the University of Florida. We know him well, and we've got some great questions for him. He is Shane Edge. Shaner, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Pat. How you doing, sir? It's always good to talk to you.
Well, it's good talking to you. I know that you're excited because you always get excited when you get that little feel in the pit of your stomach when the season's about to start.
Yeah, always. And sometimes it's a good pit, sometimes it's a bad pit, but, but hopefully everybody's fired up this year, and I expect some really good things to happen.
Yeah, I think everybody's very excited about it, and we think a lot of good things are going to happen. I'm just wondering about the punter. That's the key question right now, Jeremy Crawshaw. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this story, but he got kept by Denver. Jeremy did, and they said we've got to get the one bad punt a game out of him. And I'm like, it's what he had here.
Listen, that's going to happen. But the problem is, if he has 5 punts a game, 4 are very, very good.
Yeah.
And I would think up in Denver, I mean, he wouldn't have as many bad punts, but it's crazy. As much as riding on one punt for him, it's the same way it was when I was trying to make an NFL football team. One bad punt you're cut, especially when you're going against an incumbent, a guy that's been there for years, a guy that's done it and proven that he can do it. It's just so tough. And then once he gets a shot, he's going to be in there for 20 years, 15 years, 10, 12 years, whatever it is. But he's just such a good punter. He's got such a great leg that he's going to stick somewhere, regardless of whether it's in Denver or not. But it's just that atmosphere is so stressful. One bad punt, okay, well, I'm going home.
Well, and let me ask you, I'm curious about this too. What is the reason why punters have bad punts? When they have a bad punt, is it always the same thing? Is it a bad drop? Is it lack of concentration?
No, I don't think it's lack of concentration with any of it. It's so crazy because each integral part of this, you got to get the snap. The snap's got to be good. If the snap is high, then that changes everything. If the snap is perfect, great, everything goes on pretty much how it's supposed to be. But if the snap is a little to the left or a little to the right, it's just, there's so many things. Even when you drop the ball, some people hold it with their middle finger and their thumb. If your thumb gets stuck on the ball, then it pushes the ball that way. If your finger gets stuck, so everything has to be perfect to put that thing down there. Oh, by the way, if it's windy and you're dropping the ball, 2 feet or a foot, the ball is going to move then. So, and the good ones have a great drop every time. And that's the thing. But in the NFL now, Pat, they kick it or punt it most of the guys do that end over end punt now. And they just need a strong leg to punt it, 40, 50 yards and have 5-second hang time, and then they're going to fair catch the punt. So, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on to it that people don't understand, but it's just, the good ones drop the ball perfectly every time, like you said.
Sometimes you get a high snap and you just take off running with the ball, right?
Sometimes you get a high snap and you take it off running. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but there's a guy in Pittsburgh. He, for my birthday, a week and a half ago, whenever it was, he made a highlight video of some of my punts in the NFL, and then of course the run was on there, and it was pretty neat. I'll send it to you later on. I was surprised because I was like, dang, I didn't know I had that many punts in the NFL. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny because I was thinking about it the other day, and I was looking for another video of the Nestea plunge, but I couldn't find that either. But
yeah, that was tough.
If I could get a picture framed and get you guys to sign it, that would go up on my wall right next to my Reeves to Alvarez signed by Carlos Alvarez. So.
Well, I mean, maybe you should put that over the top of that if there's no room. But I'm telling you, the plunge was one of the greatest pictures that we have. I actually have it on my phone.
Oh, you do?
Oh yeah, Judd and I, because I send it every once in a while to somebody. I send it to Judd every once in a while. I say, hey, we were the man back in the day. We were pretty good. But yeah, and I know Judd's told you the story, and I've told you the story. But Judd was breaking Emmitt Smith's all-time scoring record, and we did that. We did it at South Carolina at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and then we did the last one in Atlanta in the SEC championship game, which surprisingly we didn't get a flag, but we never once thought about him missing the kick. It was a 42-yarder. We were going to tie the game up against Alabama. I think it was 10-7. But he looked at me. He said, Edge, we're going to do this? I'm not going to cuss on here, but I said, you dang right we are. So he kicked it, and he made it, and then we did it. And I'm looking up at I think it's the Mercedes-Benz Dome now.
Yeah, it was the Georgia Dome, man. Yeah.
It was the Georgia Dome at the time. But yeah, there's something about me and Judd. We always had a good time.
It's funny. I was reading a story about that because John Romano wrote it, a good friend of mine, and they were talking about how Judd had said this before the game, going into the game, that he was going to do it because he had done it, like you said, for the other game when he broke the SEC record, I think it was, and this was to break the Emmitt record. I don't know. It was confusing, but the bottom line is he knew he was going to do it, and they still weren't ready for it.
No,
the official still should have.
Yeah, well, and then the very next kick, I think was an extra point. The official said, "Hey, no more of that falling down stuff. Stop doing that." So we didn't do it again. No need to do it again. But yeah, I mean, our punter this year is supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, he comes from Michigan.
Tommy Doman.
Yeah, and he's also the holder too, because I talked to Trey Smack about that. He was going to be the holder, and of course that was a job you had and did very well.
The holding is really more important than the kick, Pat, if we're being honest. The snap is the most important thing, and then the hold is the next most important thing, and then the kick is the third most important. But yeah, Judd and I always aggravate. There's a couple of pictures of me holding the ball, not necessarily with my finger, but for whatever reason the ball was turning, I'm holding it with my thumb. Thumb on top of the ball, and but luckily, Judd was so good because Harold Monk and myself, we were so good also.
He gives you guys credit all the time.
He does, he does. But like I said, Judd, I don't.
Oh, I was kidding. He never gives you credit.
Yeah, he does every once in a while. But seriously though, I never went into a kick thinking, I don't know if he's going to make this. Every kick that he ever kicked, I said, okay, we're good.
Well, and every punt you ever punted? I remember you having any bad punts. You might have had a couple.
There was one. Tell you a quick story. I was a freshman. My first game, I averaged right at 48 yards a punt. And then Tim Sane, the equipment guy, in the team meeting, they were looking at trying to give out game balls, and Tim saying, "How about the punter? How about the punter?" Coach Spurrier said, "Let's see how the punter does when he's backed up in the end zone against Alabama next week." Well, sure enough, Pat, very first punt, I'm standing in the end zone and I hit that dang thing like 31 yards. It was terrible. It was bad. But after that, I did pretty good. I don't remember hitting too many too bad.
So you didn't get a game ball for that game either, did you?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I got a game ball in that year in Tennessee. I think I averaged 54 yards a punt. So you remember the good stuff, Pat. You don't remember that bad stuff.
Oh, I know. Well, is that story true though, that you were waiting to get in to see Coach Spurrier when you're being recruited, and Jamie Spurrier said, "Hey, Coach, we got this guy," and he was busy talking and doing stuff, and he finally says, "We don't punt much around here."
Right. Oh, that's true. That's true. And I can remember the first time, seriously, when Jamie brought me in there, hey, Coach, we want to introduce you to Shane Edge. He's a punter. And I'm sitting in Nancy Sain's office at the time. And we don't punt. We don't punt much here, Jamie. And but the first time Coach Spurrier ever saw me punt, he came on a trip up to Lake City. I met him at the convenience store and kind of drove him back. He followed me back to the house. And my dad, he loves to show off or take control of the meeting, whatever it is. And he says, Coach, you want to see Shane punt? And Coach Spurrier, what's he going to say? No. So we go out in the backyard. We had a big backyard, and we went out in the backyard, and I hit several punts. And Coach said, "All right, that's all I need to see." So from there on,
Well, I never heard that you had a backyard audition.
Impromptu backyard audition, and it went good, thank goodness.
Wow, obviously it did, and it did. You did well with it, obviously. I wanted to ask you, what do you do with all your rings that you have?
I have them on. I have Cindy, my wife, got me a nice display. It's like a display box. It's got a glass top. It's got my first SEC championship watch. Each watch for each year we got for going to the SEC championship, and then my 3 SEC championship rings and I got my class ring. So, but yeah, I've got 4 rings and 5, 6 watches in there. It's pretty neat. It's hanging on the wall.
Yeah, you're close to having what all that stuff Spurrier has at his restaurant.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind on that, Pat. And I love going in there. It's so much fun going in there and looking at all the history of what Coach Spurrier's got. It's just, all the trophies and things like that. You can even run across a Lou Groza trophy if you look close enough.
Yes. And I never heard the Judd Davis speech, but did he thank you on that?
He did. Actually, when Judd went into the Hall of Fame, I was there at the table. And he talked about that. He talked about, me being the best holder in the history of the world. And I stood up. I said, "You're right." But no, Judd really does. He always gives me credit, and I give Judd credit also because sitting on the sidelines, we've got the best seat in the house, and very rarely are we actually talking about kicking or punting or, punt team in the red area. We would do that or whatever. But if I had a punt that wasn't so good, he would say, "Hey, listen, you did this. You took a little jab step." We were so good with one another that I could tell by the sound of the ball in practice if Judd was hitting it right or if he was hitting it wrong. And I said, "Hey, your plant foot's a little bit close to the ball right now. That's why you're pulling it," or whatever the case is. But we were so good together, and that's why it worked. I mean, we were such good friends and still are to this day. But the reason we were successful is because we were able to help each other out.
And Judd was a punter at first, right?
He was, and a lot of people don't know that. I sent Judd packing. I graduated in the spring, and in the spring game, we actually had a wager. Whoever had the best average, the other had to buy. I'm a big milk guy. Milk and Oreo cookies was what was on the docket for the winning person. But yeah, the very first game, my first punt wasn't great. It was like 40 yards, 30, 38 yards, whatever. And Judd thought he was going to get a shot in the first game, and then Coach Spurrier, he said, "Shane, you got another one." And thank God, Pat, the snap was high. I jumped up, caught it with one hand, brought it down, and hit it like 62 yards. And once I did that, Judd went to the bench, Took his shoulder pads off and said, "I'm going to kicking."
Wow, I forgot that story.
Yep.
62 yards, yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. All right, we are getting ready to play Yes, No Way, or Maybe with Shane Edge. It is brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteak, as is the Zoom line. We appreciate Big Mill's Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. And if you go in there and say, "Hey, I heard Yes, No Way, or Maybe, and I listened to Shane Edge and Pat Dooley," you get free French fries with your order. You ready?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yes, nowhere, maybe. You can expound on your answer. Number one, nobody has ever called you Randall.
Oh yeah, they definitely have, and they generally get cussed for it.
Well, I'm sure your mom, did your mom start? I mean, when did you become Shane? It's, by the way, it's Randall Shane Edge. Yeah.
Right. I was always Shane, but my dad's name's Randall, and so I was named after him. So it's Randall Shane Edge. But yeah, when even in elementary school or whenever it was, first day of class, Randall, I'm looking around. I'm like, what the heck is she talking about? And even a real quick story. I got pulled over for not stopping at a stop sign, which I clearly did. But regardless, I get pulled over, and the cop gets my my license. He said, "Now, Randall." I said, "Oh, it's Shane." So even when I get pulled over, I even tell the police officer, "Hey, no, it's Shane."
Yeah, I never tell a police officer he's wrong about anything. You're right. You're correct, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not when you call me Randall. You're not.
Well, at least you didn't cuss him out. You might have been in trouble.
Well, real quick, I want to tell you this story real quick. Somebody said something to me the other day about getting into altercations, and I may or may not have gotten in a few altercations. But I was trying to figure out, I think the number is 3 or 4 Hall of Fame people that I've said F you to. So because we were about to get into altercation. So I'll cuss anybody, Pat.
Well, I mean, maybe it was in the that game when you were at Pittsburgh. I mean, you got into that. That was a good one.
That was a good one. But actually, Greg Lloyd and Rod Woodson were the two. They had a snide comment for me. And I'd let them know I don't, whatever.
Yeah. I'm a real athlete. Thank
you. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Number 2, you should get a brick at the University of Florida because you are a 4-time honorable mention All-American. I don't know if anybody was a 4-time honorable mention All-American.
Pat, I don't understand it. I should have a brick, an All-American brick, a 4-time honorable mention All-American brick somewhere, somehow. Should be in the Hall of Fame for that. So, but no, that's definitely a yes. So we've got 2 yeses.
There you go. All right. And number 3 on Yes, No Way, or Maybe with Shane Edge, your kids don't know about the Nestea plunge.
Oh, they definitely know. That's yes. Oh, listen, Pat, anytime when my kids were little, anytime it used to be the Sunshine Network. They would play the games, when we got older or whatever. I would call them both in. Anytime I was going to punt, "Hey, come here. Let me show you this." And they got so tired of it. "Dad, we got to watch that again." Yeah. But no, they definitely know. They both seen the pictures, so everybody knows about the Nestea plunge.
Well, I know you're excited about this season. We're all excited about just college football being back.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a big thing. And appreciate you being on so much. You're a good man.
I appreciate you, Pat. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila. aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light-bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros Tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros Tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I know that the Meldons and will be out there at the game Saturday night, or hopefully everybody's out there Saturday day, and also the game starts during the day technically. So do you call that a night game? If the game, I always think about that with the 3:30 games when daylight savings is gone. Do we call it a night game if it ends at night? But if it's half of it's played during the day, is it a day game? So, or maybe just ignore it. I always love it when the guys play a noon game and they come in, they go, tonight we play. I'm like, tonight? It's not tonight yet. Anyway, I digress. You can tell I'm a little excited right now. All right, let us get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, brought to you by our good friends Ken and Jen over at Hesser and Kipke. 352-339-9920, the number to call for all your workers' compensation and family law needs, or reach them at www.hklawfl.com. Hesser and Kipke. All right, let's get to number one on our 3 things. Number one is, man, to be a Dallas fan is not a good thing. First it was Luka, now it may be Micah. And again, I know that by the time you guys listen to this, it could have gotten all resolved one way or another, but it's not, I still need to comment on it. But if you lose Luka and Micah in the same calendar year, I would just burn everything at that point. We'll see what happens with that. But it is amazing that Jerry Jones can get butthurt so bad that he's going to let this thing happen. And, they're talking about, well, maybe what if he gets a Herschel-like thing? That was just the Vikings were so desperate to have some star power that they went and got Herschel. And Herschel was okay for them. He was a pretty good player. He's best college player I think I've ever seen. Maybe Tebow, you could make an argument. I think there's only 2 guys in the running, to be honest with you. Anyway, and they got, 9 draft picks or something like that, or 9 players. They got an enormous haul, and that kind of turned the franchise around. But I don't know if you can get that much anymore. Maybe that's why it hasn't happened. Who knows what's going on? It's like a minute-by-minute story. And with all these other NFL holdouts, what do you see? Last minute he signs. Last minute. Okay, now he's in camp. And of course, he'll pull a hamstring in the first day. But anyway. All right, that is number one on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Number 2 is interesting story that Dawn Staley said she did meet with the Knicks about the head coaching job. And she would have taken it if they had offered. And my first reaction was, wow, you're brave. to be able to do that if you had a chance. Now, it would have been a little more interesting, I think, if she'd had a chance, and I would have paid more attention to the Knicks, I think. But again, Don Staley is a great coach. I don't know that it translates. Now, Becky Hammonds is the one who coached, that kind of set the. And there's been other women who've been assistant coaches and turned to women's basketball. Of course, she's coaching the WNBA now in the WNBA. But it's. I don't know that I don't think I would be brave enough to do that, to go coach the New York Knicks. Now, I guess it's also, there's a chance that you could succeed and really people go, you may be the best coach of all time. I don't know. I don't know what her thinking was on that, but she would have taken it. Anyway, let's get to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Interesting at the U.S. Open this week. Actually, yesterday, I don't know how many of you are watching the Open. It's always entertaining, but there was this match, and Taylor Townsend, who's an American, did not like. Her opponent did not like. Her name was Jelena something. I can't remember her last name. I'm not Jeff Cardozo. I can't pronounce all these names. But anyway, she hit a shot and it hit the net, and it helped her get the point. It didn't give her the point, but it helped her get the point. And according to tennis etiquette, you're supposed to go, "Oh, sorry." Okay. You know me. I don't believe in tennis etiquette. I just believe in going and playing and trying to win and being focused. I don't know. I don't care. But this other woman, when they got done, said the exact quote was, "You have no class. You have no education." Now, she's saying, now she's come out, I think, on Instagram saying she's not being racist there. And, it is just a mess. But it made me interested in women's tennis again. I will say that I want to watch her next match. All right, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. And it also comes from tennis. And Adams Ribco, of course, people are going to be loading up on it. Adams Ribco. If you don't have your order in, I think you're probably too late to get it. And they have so much meat. They're out there sweating and getting all that great food done. But our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week is Ben Shelton, who had a straight set win in his second round match. So he's playing well. The great story there, too, was he's dating now. What's her name? I'm looking for her name. I know her last name's Rodman, and I can't remember her first name. Trinity Rodman. It's not. I kept thinking Tiffany Rodman. Trinity Rodman, who of course is a great soccer player. We saw her in the World Cup or the Olympics. It was, yeah. But they're dating now, and somehow she got into the press room, which is not surprising. Yeah, I've seen coaches, players in press rooms before, and she had the last question. And instead of asking him something like, funny, she goes, "Hey, are you upset you couldn't get your serve going any faster than 160 miles an hour?" And they had a funny exchange. It was pretty hilarious, and I think people are finding out what we all know. Ben Shelton is just a cool dude and a fun guy to be a fan of, and it is so exciting. I keep saying this over and over. It's so exciting to have a Gator to cheer for at the U.S. Open. So Ben Shelton he's been it before, our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, and we appreciate him. Let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick, brought to you by Leo's. I did get an email from Bruce Davis. He did get his $25 gift certificate for his win in the last contest. We'll have a poll pretty soon. I mean, we got to get a couple football games in before we do. And we're going to give you a different one today. It's a little bit unusual. And appreciate Kyle over there at Leonardo's, of course. We're giving you the over-under in the Notre Dame-Miami game. And again, this is easy. All you got to do is say over or under. I'm only giving you one thing. We've got a lot of people that are in for the game tonight. In fact, I think it was maybe the most, people are excited about football. Maybe the most number of people that we've gotten trying to register for the Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick for the Boise USF game that we threw out there on Monday. But today, we're giving you the over-under on the Notre Dame-Miami game at Miami, 49.5 points. That would be 49.5. or 49 and 10/20th. So that is your thing. 49.5 is the over-under. Just say over or under on the Notre Dame Miami game. Just send an email to patrickdooley54@gmail.com. I had somebody who's a loyal listener, Bernard, from our radio show, who's now started listening to the podcast and was wondering how this works. And what we do is after about 3 weeks, we make a pull, $25 at Leonardo's. Hopefully I'm going to get some more stuff in here that we can give away as well. Going forward, we're going to work on that, try to get some gift cards from other places, or more than that, just some merchandise, because we did that. I gave away a lot of books, Patrick Young's book. I might maybe get some more of those as well. But anyway, that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. Just send me an email. All right, let's move to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. And of course, BMI TeleMed is your weight loss specialist, achieve and maintain. And that is the goal right now. And that's what I'm trying to do, is maintain, baby. You can call them at 727-383-1677. We appreciate BMI TeleMed. Our smart move of the week was this. Keegan Bradley left himself off the Ryder Cup team. Now, did he deserve to be on? If he was outside looking in, I would have put him on. Yes, I agree. But I think it's a smart move, because if you do try to be a playing captain, you're not a real captain. And that would be a distraction, even though he's got great vice captains or whatever they call them. I look, when Arnie Palmer was the last guy to do it, both. It wasn't the Ryder Cup then. It was called the Ryder Cup, but it wasn't like on every TV and guys all over the place and all this media covering it and fans going nuts and screaming and yelling, wanting people to die. And it was, Bethpage is going to be a zoo. You need to be focused. I agree with Keegan 100% on this. Would I have picked him if I was on the outside looking in? Yes. Should he have picked himself? I agree with his decision. I think it's smart. Kind of made a fan of me. I got to be honest with you. All right. That is our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. Let's get to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Brought to you by Gallo Car Wash. Place to go to get your car washed. A lot of people getting a lot of pollen and dirt and everything on it, so that's a place to go. I know Kelsey's already been there twice with her new car. So our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week is Chipotle. And the reason is Chipotle, we love that commercial they did with Walter and DJ. But now they've also, and look, I'm giving them a free commercial here. If they want to get on board for a commercial, you just give me a call or send me an email. You know how to do it, patrickdooley54@gmail.com. I'm not begging, but I'm just saying this is interesting. And it is marketing for them, and I agree, but that they are giving all the Florida athletes, or all the Florida football players, it's athletes, isn't it? Yes, that's athletes, a free gift card. In other words, you go in there once a week for 15 weeks and get a free entree. That's a pretty good deal. And they're doing this with several schools, but only 3. Right now. It's Ohio State, which they did it with last year, Georgia and Florida, and that's because they eat the most Chipotle. So there you go. It's a breakfast of champions. 94% of Florida athletes said they eat at Chipotle, so we know that now. So if you want to go to Chipotle, you may see a famous guy in there. Anyway, that's our sponge of the week, because they got to sponge up as much marketing as they can get. There you go. All right, let's move along to our Gainesville Quarterback Club segment. We always appreciate the Gainesville Quarterback Club. We had a great time. Tuesday night was a lot of fun, seeing everybody. It was a packed house, like I said. Katie Turner was tremendous, really insightful to explain how things get done, what it's like, the differences between official visits, what you can do and not do on an unofficial visit. It was just really not only entertaining, but just real informative, and she was tremendous. Now, this Tuesday, Alex Brown is joining us, and I can't wait to see Alex. Talked to him the other day about it. He's going to be a lot of fun. Alex Brown, of course, the all-time sack leader at the University of Florida, and look forward to talking to him as well. And that is the Gainesville Quarterback Club. They've got new monthly memberships available now, I believe. So just give them a call or reach them at GainesvilleQuarterbackClub.org, I believe it is. Or I think it's Captain. There's a thing with Captain. Anyway, all you got to do is go to their webpage and you'll find out how to get a hold of them. That is the Gainesville Quarterback Club. All right. Let's move to our MyBookie segment. MyBookie.ag is the place to go for all of your gaming needs. You can play casino games there. You can bet on different games. And in fact, I've set mine up, and it's a great place to go. If you use the promo code Dooley, Dooley, you should know how to spell it by now. You get a deal where you get 50. It's if you bet 100, you get an extra 50 to bet. Okay, that's the way it works. And there's also a deal they've got going. If you get on for the first time, and whatever you want to bet up to $500, you get. Hey, you don't lose it. You keep it in your thing, and if you win, you get the winnings. It's an unbelievable deal. So okay, so it's mybookie.ag is the way to go. And again, use the promo code Dooley to get a discount on your order. Here are the games I'm picking. I am taking 2 underdogs, and I heard, I think it was Greenberg today saying you always take the favorites in the first game because you have no idea what's going to happen, but the favorites will usually be worth it. I don't know. I'm taking the 2 underdogs in 2 of the biggest games. Texas plus 1.5 over Ohio State. I think Texas is going to win. I'm a big believer in Arch Manning. Sorry, but I am. I may be totally wrong. We'll find out Saturday, right? Noonish. And then I'm taking Miami plus 2.5 against Notre Dame. I think Miami's got better players than Notre Dame, to be honest with you. And they're at home and they're getting 2.5 points. To me, that's a lock bet. You can follow my advice or not. I wouldn't blame you either way. All right. But that's we appreciate our friends at mybookie.ag. All right. We also appreciate our friends very much at Los Linderos. Of course, Los Linderos tequila go beyond, of course, Urban Meyer's favorite tequila, my favorite tequila. It is the best you can get. And our smooth move, our Los Linderos smooth move of the week belongs to Army. Not the Army, but I guess it is the Army, right? But it's Army. Army is now it's the last of the service academies to allow sales of alcoholic beverages in the stadium. I know that Clemson also did the same thing. We need to get some Los Linderos in there too. This is what is happening in the world we're living in because everybody needs revenue. And that's the bottom line. Everybody's got to pay out. And I know that the Army's different and all the service academies are different. No NIL or NIL things or portal guys as a rule, but they do now can pay the players. I don't know how all that works. I may be misspeaking, but everybody needs revenue. We all know that. And everybody's saying, hey, look, if everybody else is going to do it, we're going to do it. Dabo had a good line. He said, hey, look, this is the first time they're selling it, but it's not the first time it's been brought into the state. And I know that. Boy, I could tell you stories. My dad told me back in the olden days, in the 50s, that they used to bring in a cooler of martinis into the stadium. Just put it down and drink martinis all day watching the game. Can you imagine that? Again, you had room because they never filled the place up back in those days. Anyway. That is our Los Linderos smooth move of the week. Army finally going to it. They will serve alcohol. All right. This, that, and the other is next up. We love this, that, and the other. It is brought to you by Notary Joe's. Notary Joe is your place to go for a mobile notary. You can have him come to your house. Just call him at 863-990-4884. It is brought to you by Ballyhoo Grille. Our good friends at Ballyhoo, where the beer is cold. We were in there the other night. Boy, it was cold, and it kept coming. And we also had some great flatbread. They have the best flatbread, man. Really good job at that. And it's also brought to you by Darr Schackow Insurance. Darr Schackow for your home, auto, commercial, and life needs. Give them a call. Darr Schackow, we appreciate all of them. This, that, and the other. We will start off with this. And this is, I remember, I would say 25 years ago, when I was really needing guests, a good guest for radio. And my radio career, I know, goes back a long way. Now, do you call it a career? No, but I've done radio for a long time, maybe 20 years ago. And I really would need a guest, and I needed somebody good because I was maybe the ratings weren't great. And I would call Lee Corso. And Lee Corso, we would talk about Ticonderoga pencils and everything. We had a great time talking about college football. And he was on ESPN at the time. But when he was good, really good, though. And Lee, it was kind of like Dick Vitale, the same way, in that they turned it on for the cameras. Okay, Lee would say, "What time do you need me?" Okay, all right, I'll be okay. I'll give you a call. Okay, all right. And then he'd come on. Hey, let me tell you what. That's kind of like the Dick Vitale way. But I loved it. He was tremendous, and he helped me very much, and I appreciated him very much. Then, of course, that is that as time went by, he got a little big. I mean, it wasn't like he wouldn't come on, but I kind of went off and on radio there for a while. I didn't have him on very much, but every once in a while I'd still get him on. Kind of like Chris Collinsworth. I used to get Collinsworth on all the time, but he's kind of too big for that now. But that's not the point. The point is that he had helped me out to a tough time. And then, of course, he had his stroke. And then, of course, that was it. And I just felt so terrible. Some people wanted to be negative and they wanted to say, get him off the air and things like that. Everybody at ESPN felt the exact opposite of you, especially Kirk Herbstreit, who, what a saint he was during all that time. And the other is, of course, that this will be his last broadcast on Saturday. I may tear up a little bit. I do appreciate everything he brought to the game. Look, he wasn't at his best at the end. We all know that. You know who else isn't? Me. And certainly won't be going forward. I'm trying to do the best I can, but I was probably better at radio back in those days. But the point is, I love Lee Corso. I appreciate him, and I hope everybody will watch the last broadcast he does on game day. It'll be fun. I know they're going to have some special stuff going on. Who knows who's going to show up? You have no idea. Like, they're going to bring in some famous people, I think. All right. Let us wrap it up as we always do with our Swamp Games of the weekend, a Swamp restaurant where I will be today with Jeff doing our radio show from there on the tailgate. We're 4 to 6. If you come by there 4 to 6 today, or I mean, if you're listening to it later, next week we'll also be there. We're there for every home game. And we always have a great time when we're there. We appreciate the Swamp so much. The great thing about today is we will be able to watch some football while we're doing the radio show. Although today we've got Billy Donovan on at 5:30, so we may not pay attention to the football. Anyway, let us give you the Swamp Games of the weekend. Friday, I'm just going to give you the highlights. Friday, Auburn at Baylor. That is on Fox at 8. Georgia Tech at Colorado at 8. On ESPN. So you need 2 TVs or you have no TVs. So that's going to be a good double dip there on Friday. Saturday, Texas Ohio State, for those of you wondering, is on Fox, and that game is at noon. Don't sleep on it. And then Alabama FSU at 8:30 or 3:30 on ABC. And then of course the Florida game is on ESPN Plus at 7. Also LSU Clemson at Clemson is 7:30 on ABC. So it's quite a schedule they have there. And I hope it's as good as we think it's going to be. That's all I'm asking for. Sunday, Notre Dame, Miami is on ABC, 7:30. And Monday, TCU, North Carolina, 8 o'clock on ESPN. All right. It's fun to be able to talk some college football today. And I mean, we've been talking it. We just haven't been talking it intelligently. Now we can talk about it intelligently because Monday we'll be able to say, hey, here's what I saw. Here's what I saw. Here's what I saw. We're going to have a show Monday, one way or another. We'll find out whether it'll be at Spurrier's or from the Ponderosa. But here's what I do know. We got to get out of here. We appreciate Zach, as we always do, and Shane Edge for coming on. Appreciate both of them, and appreciate all of our great sponsors and all of our great listeners and responders, to all of our Leonardo's picks, all that stuff. Well, I love you guys. Let's enjoy a great college football weekend. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.